Let's talk about senior pets. If you are in a position to adopt a dog or cat, whether you've just decided you want to and you're going to go to the shelter and you're going to pick out one, or maybe you've come across a friend or a family member who has a dog or a cat that just needs a home, but it's an elderly dog or cat, don't discount them. In today's video, we're going to talk about 6 very real benefits to adopting a senior pet. We are also going to talk briefly about some of the concerns you might have about adopting a senior pet, and I can assure you it's not as risky as you think, as you might think. Okay. I'm also going to give you some resource to just kind of help you take care of that animal and understand that animal. It's not that hard to own a senior pet, and I just don't want you to discard them. Now, let me tell you a couple things just quick before we get started. I adopted a wiener dog, a little dachshund named Taz, several years ago, and I searched for her. I searched for a dachshund, and I found her. She was at a rescue shelter about an hour and a half from my home. And in the description that they made about her, they said she was 5 years old. Well, I knew immediately when I got there the dog was not 5 years old. Her face was covered in gray. She had jowls. You could see she was clearly not 5 years old. But their evil plan worked. Because I gotta admit, if they had said she was older, 8, 9, 10 years old, I might not have chosen her. I might not have gone to get her, but I did go to get her, and she was elderly, and she had a lot of, she had a lot of issues and things she needed help with. But I had her for 6.5 years. When I first got her, my vet, estimated her age to be more like 8 or 9, so she was kind of already a senior pet when I got her. And then I had her 6.5 years, and she was vibrant and healthy and energetic, and I couldn't have the dog for 10, 15 years because I adopted her as a senior, but I will never, ever forget her. I will never regret adopting her. Another example is I had a Boston Terrier named Cagney who I adopted. He was either 10 or 12. I honestly can't remember. I think he was 10 when I adopted him, and I only had him for a couple of years. He developed congestive heart failure and passed away at a normal age. It wasn't, it was like 12. He was about 12 or 13. So I didn't get to have him for very long. But even though I adopted him, I got attached to him, I fell madly in love with him. And I only had him for a couple of years, and I had to face the heartbreak of losing him again. I will never forget him. I will never regret having that dog, even with all the health issues and the vet appointments. I don't know. If you're like me, you might understand what I'm talking about. But let's go ahead and get into today's video, because I'm going to share some things with you that hopefully will help you. I'm going to put myself in the corner here. If you've not been here before, my name is Deborah. I own peoplelovinganimals.com, and I do videos and posts on my website all about the care, health, and training of dogs and cats. I've been doing this about 10 years, so I do have a million posts. I've got a million videos, so I would love it if you would subscribe if you're not already, and go ahead and look around the YouTube channel and see if there might be some other videos that you are interested in, and I'll be linking a couple for you about senior pets that might help you. Now, we're going to use this post on my website called "What are the benefits of adopting senior pets?" To go through today's video. It's a long post. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to use it to get us through the video, but I am going to link this post in the description box, and you're going to be able to go in here and read it if you want to, okay? So adopting a senior pet might sound challenging at first, but understanding their unique needs can make the journey smooth and rewarding. Dogs and cats typically fall into the senior category around 7 years old. Now, I think that's a little bit young. Like, I don't know. I don't really consider a dog or a cat senior at 7 years old. That's like the standard, but I don't know, maybe the same thing with pets as it is as people. They say 50 is the new 35. Maybe it's the same thing with pets, that yeah, when they were 7 they used to be old, but now with all the advances in medical care and diet and everything, maybe 12 is the new 7. I don't know. But once they start getting a little older, 7, 8, 9, I would say 8 or 9, that's when they're starting to get older, and you need to start having, a little more extra care for them because they do need to live life at a little bit slower pace. But they are rich in character, and they often offer surprises and personality traits, and they bring so much more to the table than you realize. So let's just go quickly through 6 benefits of adopting a senior pet. I personally think adopting a senior pet results in countless benefits to the owners. Ask anyone who's ever taken in an older dog or cat, and they will attest to it, just like I have just now. By the way, I also had a cat who lived 20 years. Now, I had her from the moment she was born because I owned her mother, and that litter of kittens was born, and I kept this kitten, and she was with me for 20 years. So I also have a lot of experience with her in that, for 10 years, she was considered a senior cat, right? But I gotta tell you, she didn't have a single health issue till she was 14, and then it was not even age related. And then she really, truly did not slow down and show the signs of her aging until like a year before she died. I mean, she was like 19 and a half before she showed any signs of anything that might take her life. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, don't be scared of it. Okay, number one, senior pets bring a whole new vibe to the household. They tend to be more chillax. They make perfect companions for folks who prefer a slower pace of life. If you don't want an animal that's running around all the time, you got to play with them constantly, everything. A senior pet might just be the right thing for you. If you're just content on having your pet sit around and watch TV with you and just go for some leisurely walks, a senior pet might be better for you anyway. Number two, one of the coolest perks is that senior pets often come with some serious life experience, just like us. I say I'm not old, I'm seasoned. And when they say, oh, would you go back to 25 if you could? Nah, I might want to look like I'm 25 again. I might want to have the body of a 25-year-old, but no, I would not trade my years of experience and wisdom and go back to being that. You understand? But they do bring a lot of serious life experience. They're usually house trained. They're past the teething phase. They've settled into their personalities, and they just don't have the chaos that some younger pets do. And that's a benefit. Number three, speaking of personalities, older pets tend to have them in spades. You'll likely find a pet who knows itself well, leaving you to skip the guessing game of what kind of pet they'll grow up to be. They just are. Here they are. They've already developed their personalities. They're either going to be lovey dovey smoochy, or they're going to be a little standoffish, or they're going to be, they really like to play. Some have a sense of humor, and you know what I mean when I say your dog or cat has a sense of humor, right? So they've already developed their personalities. You get to see right from the day you bring them home what they are, who they are, and how they're going to act and behave, and how they live their lives. Number four, adopting a senior pet is like giving yourself a gift that keeps on giving. It's an emotional boost like no other, knowing you're also granting the gift of a cozy home to an animal in its golden years. With a senior pet runs deep, and you'll see how much they appreciate the second chance to live their best life. You know, um, here's the thing. If you don't want to adopt a senior pet, like, oh, the pet is old, what if he has a lot of health problems? What if, I only have him a couple of years, and then I got to put him down, and then it's all for nothing, and I'm going to have heartbreak, and whatever you might be thinking about that might be keeping you from adopting a senior pet, I'm almost going to get emotional when I say this. What do you say to that pet? You know what I mean? Picture yourself, say, at the SPCA, and you've decided to adopt a dog or a cat, and you're shopping around the SPCA and you're looking at them. And then you're going to pass by, say, the cage with a senior cat in it or a senior dog. What are you going to say to that animal? Are you going to say, oh, I'm sorry. I have a perfectly good home. I'm perfectly capable to afford medical care for you, food for you, toys for you. I can offer you a safe and loving home for the rest of your life, but nah, I can't be bothered with you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm being dramatic, but seriously, think about these pets. They're old. they can't help it that they're old. They're going to live as long as they're going to live. They need a home, they need food, they need shelter, they may need medical care. And if you're a person who can afford a reasonable amount of medical care, you would be a perfect owner for an elderly animal who might need additional medical care. So just think about that. It's like, these older animals are still alive. They're still alive. They need a home. And a lot of them, like for example, the little wiener dog Taz that I adopted, the reason she ended up in a shelter is because her owner was elderly and had to go into a nursing home. So, Taz had lived with this owner 8, 9 years, however old Taz actually was. And then the owner is gone, and there stands Taz. There she is. Yes, she's elderly, but she needs a home. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I just want to throw that out for, please think about the animals themselves, right? Um, I'm sorry, I got lost here. Number five, shelters are often offer incentives like tuition fees for senior pets. It's a real perk for you too, beyond the emotional connection. It's rewarding in so many ways, helping you save some cash while making a powerful impact. Again, these are the dogs and cats that are sitting in these shelters. They're waiting for someone to adopt them. And so, if you come along and you offer them the forever home that they need, you're making a difference. Not only are you making a difference, but anytime you adopt a pet from a shelter, regardless of their age, you're freeing up a cage at the shelter. Most animal shelters are really bogged down, really overcrowded. So anytime you adopt an animal at a shelter, you're freeing up that cage for another animal in need to be able to come to that shelter, right? Until they find a home. I'm going to give you a link to read my post, How to Find a Pet to Adopt. I also have that video. I'll link that for you. So it tells you how to find a pet to adopt in your area. Number six, you're helping rescue more than just one animal. I'm sorry, I already just said this. We'll talk about how adopting even a senior pet can impact several others a bit later in the post. But first, let's talk about the concerns you might have. I've already given you the points I'm going to make in the rest of the post. Is that you're clearing out that cage at the shelter for another animal, so it does make an impact. Um, oh, I'm also going to give you my video and link to my post called Benefits of Adopting Pets from Shelters. Okay, if you're looking for, adopting a senior pet or going to shelters, go ahead and read that one because that's got a lot of tips for with a shelter pet and kind of some of the things that you have to think about when you adopt a pet from a shelter. And again, the benefits of adopting a pet from a shelter. And we talk a little bit more in that one about the overall impact of adopting pets from shelters. Some of the health concerns for senior pets: aging can introduce a mix of health, like arthritis, dental issues, a bit of sluggishness. It's pretty common for older pets to face these hurdles, and knowing what to expect can help. Small adjustments at home, like softer bedding or pet stairs, can work wonders for a creaky pet. These articles are a must. I've got an article, and I'm pretty sure both of these have a video, so I'll link that too. 10 tips when caring for a senior dog and how to help an aging cat. So if you do decide to adopt a senior pet, please read those articles, whether it's a dog or a cat. Please read it because they really have helpful tips on how you can care for these animals. And I know that they contain ideas and things that you are not thinking of, okay? Because I remember when I researched to write those posts and to do those videos, there was a lot of things that's like, oh my God, I never thought of that, and a lot of senior pets are like suffering, with things that can be easily prevented if their owner just, realized, right? I don't keep you too much. I know one of the things that people worry about with adopting a senior pet is veterinary care. Regular vet visits become more important. Sometimes when you have an elderly pet, your vet will recommend that they come twice a year instead of once a year. I do recommend that you get pet insurance, but you do have to realize that most pet insurance, just like people insurance, will not cover an existing condition. So if you would adopt a pet and they have congestive heart failure or whatever, a new insurance company isn't going to cover that, but they will cover a lot. And you can talk with your vet, you can talk with insurance companies and find out what can be covered going forward. Simple things like annual vet visits, annual shots. You know, if you get a policy that covers just those regular kinds of things, that's going to take a bite out of your vet bills, right? So if your senior pet does have other things, at least you've got the inexpensive monthly premium for a pet insurance policy that covers a lot of the other stuff. Okay, so I do have a lot on my website and on my YouTube channel about pet insurance. I think it's important. Medications alone for pets in senior years can be very expensive. That same wiener dog that I was talking about, Tess, she developed Cushing's disease, and that she had it for, I don't know, 2 3 years at the end of her life. And I remember her medication was like $95 a month, just the medication she had to take for that. Also, both she and Cagney ultimately died from congestive heart failure, which is very, very common in dogs and cats, just like it's very, very common in people. And again, they have to be on medication for that. They have to be on a heart medication. They also have to be on a diuretic. You know, that was true of these two dogs. And those medications cost money. So if you're adopting a senior pet, you know, get the health insurance before they're diagnosed with any of these things, because then depending on your policy, your pet insurance is going to kick in and help you to pay for those things. I do have a recommendation, Lemonade Pet Insurance. I'll give you a link for my full review of them. I know they have policies starting at $10 a month, and then you decide what you want the policy to cover and you decide on your premiums. I think they do also give a discount for if you have more than one pet. But since I wrote this article on my website, I also have posted another published another article that gives you a tool to compare pet insurance companies. So I'll try to remember to link that for you in in the description box for you to be able to go to that post, and you can just see, you know, you can just see what the differences are. But if you don't want to do a bunch of research and carry on, you might just go to Lemonade Pet Insurance and give them, you know, your information, and they can help you choose what would be most appropriate for you. I'm also going to give you a couple videos. Is pet insurance worth it for dogs? Is pet insurance worth it for cats? My answer is yes. For the part it is. I think the only time you really don't need pet insurance is that if you are a person who is financially capable of handling an expensive vet bill if it should come up, and I'm talking $2,000 or more, okay? If you are a wealthy person, or if you just have a healthy savings account, or, you know, you have resources, it's like, you know what, if the, I hate to say this, but like if the dog got hit by a car and it cost me $5,000, I could pay for that. Or if my cat developed this or that and had to have surgery and it was $1,000 or $1,200, I could pay for that. So if you feel like you can comfortably pay for your pet's expenses, even if there's a big emergency bill, then fine. You know, you probably don't need to have pet insurance. But if you're not that person, if you would be like in trouble, if you got a big, expensive, unexpected vet bill, then it probably is wise for you to have pet insurance. And also preventative care, good for senior pets. Things like vaccinations, proper grooming, dental cleanings, they can add years to their lives. So be proactive. And again, I'm going to give you the links to watch the videos about senior dog caring for senior cat. Also keep in mind, Best Nutrition is good for them. You can get supplements that support joint health. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you a link for my video, Best and Worst Foods for Your Pet. There's a couple of videos in that post about proper nutrition and what to look for in like commercial pet foods that you find in the store by a veterinarian. Her first name is Karen. I can't remember at this moment what her last name is. I'll probably think of it as soon as I click stop on this video. But she's got a book and she's got some nice videos. If you're going to go with fresh food, which you've probably seen the ads, fresh dog food, fresh cat food is becoming very popular now. My recommendation for fresh dog food is the Farmer's Dog. I am going to give you a link for my full review and 50% off your first order. A Pup Above is another recommendation for fresh dog food. And if you're looking for fresh cat food, I would recommend Smalls Cat Food. I'm going to give you my review, and also I'll give you a link for them. I honestly can't remember if my link for them gives a discount or not. Oh yes, it does. It gives $10 off your first purchase. So I'll give you a couple discounts there. Here's me with my dogs that I'm talking about. This is a little wiener dog Taz. That's the little Boston Cagney. They're my ownership of them kind of intertwined a little bit because I still had Taz when I got Cagney, and then Taz passed away, and for the couple of years I only had Cagney. And I can tell you that Cagney was madly in love with her. You can kind of tell from the picture. He was obsessed with her. He loved her, but unfortunately she did not feel the same. But in Cagney's defense, Taz didn't care about any dogs. Like, we would go out for walks and everything. Other little dogs go up and play with her. For whatever reason, she could not be bothered with other dogs. She just didn't care. And I'm wondering if the reason is when I went to get her at the shelter, it was dog eat dog. I mean, there was, I don't know, there was 12, 15, 20 other dogs there. You know, she probably was very annoyed by that, especially since she was an older dog. So maybe when she broke free of that and she moved in with me and she was the only dog, maybe she's like, get out of here. I don't know. Maybe her whole life she didn't like other dogs. She wouldn't fight with other dogs, but she just didn't like them. So it wasn't anything personal for Cagney, but I got to tell you just a quick story about these two because Cagney was, oh, I could do a whole video about Cagney. I could do a whole video about Taz too. But specifically, Cagney, when Taz got older, I started pushing her around the neighborhood in a buggy, and I had to do the same thing for Cagney because Cagney ended up tearing his ACL, which means his knee was screwed up. So they both been in a buggy riding around town. But as a matter of fact, I think if you go to Cute Animal Videos, that playlist on my YouTube channel, you'll see a video of Cagney in the buggy. Anyway, we had little Taz in the buggy. It was me and my husband at the time. We're divorced now. We had little Taz in the buggy, and we were pushing her around town because she couldn't really go for walks anymore. And we had Cagney on a leash, you know, walking with them. And all of a sudden on our walk, there was this huge white pit bull. Now, I'm not somebody that's automatically against pit bulls. Don't get me wrong. It just happened to be a pit bull. It was this huge white pit bull, and it was in its own fenced in yard, right? But I looked over and the pit bull was looking at Taz. Now, probably with no ill intention. This is two dogs walking by. It's pit bulls in the yard. He's looking, right? So I said, oh, you know, that pit bull's looking at Taz. Probably thinks she's adorable in the pink buggy. Well, all of a sudden I looked down at Cagney, and oh my God, he was a rock of muscle. He was like a rock. He had tightened every muscle in his body. He was ready to fight that pit bull if he had to. And I'm telling you, if that pit bull would have jumped that fence and come for that buggy, Cagney would have fought to the death. Now, granted, he wouldn't have won. He probably wouldn't have won. He was a little old Boston Terrier, but I always thought he was willing to defend Taz with his life. You know, don't tell me that that wasn't worth it to me to own that dog. A dog like that with that kind of a character. I mean, seriously. I'm just saying. I loved them so much. So adopt a senior dog, adopting a senior cat. I'm going to some extra resources, exercising senior dogs, how to potty train an adult dog, training older dogs, adopting rescue dogs. I'm also going to get information about how you can help an aging cat. This, by the way, is the cat that I owned that lived 20 years. Now, the time that I took this picture, I don't know exactly, but if I had to guess, I would say she was minimally 14 years old there. She was anywhere between 14 and 20 years old in that picture. Now, I know it's just a picture, but seriously, look at her. She's beautiful. Her coat is beautiful. She's sitting there at the patio enjoying the backyard, you know, totally enjoying her life. You know, there she is, my senior cat. So I'm just going to scroll here to make sure that I'm not missing anything, but I would like you to go ahead and read the post if you would, because there's a lot of extra stuff in here. I'm also going to give you a link where you can request a printable list of things you can donate to your local SPCA. It's not just money. And it's not just dog food. You'll be surprised how many things that you can pick up at the grocery store every week and drop off at the SPCA that they need. Okay, things like paper towels, Windex, think about it. All right, so go ahead and get that list. Also, feel free to send in your pictures. If you sign up for that list to get the SPCA thing, or if you sign up for my newsletter, which you see below here, you'll end up on my email list. So anytime you get an email from me, just click reply and send me your pet's picture if you want, because I might use them in a future post, or I might use them on Pinterest or something, with your permission, of course. But I would love to see pictures, especially if you do end up adopting a senior pet. I'd love it so much if you could come back and just tell me about it, and I might be able to even add you to this post as an example of someone who saw this video and decided to go and adopt a senior pet, and we could have their picture. So obviously don't feel obligated. If you are a busy person, if you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to handle vet bills and all that, okay, fine. Make an educated, intelligent decision about whether or not you want to adopt a senior pet. But please, read the post I'm talking about in today's video. Read the other posts that I've given you. Make an educated decision. Don't make a decision based on fear, okay, that you're like afraid to adopt a senior pet. But if you decide not to, that's okay too. Okay, you go to the shelter and you pick out a different pet. It's perfectly okay. But I appreciate so much your being here. I would appreciate it if you would give the video a like if you found this useful. It really does help YouTubers when you do that. I know you're probably sick of YouTubers asking you to give the video a like, but what it does is it tells YouTube that you found the video valuable, and they'll push it out to more people, and it helps our channel. So that's why we do that. So again, my name is Deborah, and my website is peoplelovinganimals.com. Thanks again for being here. I hope I was helpful.